Oh, you want some of these? Good Lord, here we go. Hey guys, it is Jenna, what is up, and welcome back to my channel. We are doing a little sit-down video today. I am so excited. You guys can tell by the title. It is some board game content, which a lot of people have been asking me to do more of these. I really want to start getting into chatting to you guys more about board games. Francis and I love board games. It's such a great way to just hang out together and do something, just us two. We do it with friends. Do it with family. It's just a great time. It's always so much fun, and I'm so excited to introduce you guys to a lot of these games. You guys can tell by the title that it is going to be my top 10 out of all of our board games that we have, which as of right now we have about 75 or 76 board games, which is insane. There are some that we do want to get rid of eventually, but these are the top 10 that I have come up with. Francis also gave me his top 10, so I will be putting his top 10 down below if you guys are interested. His are a little bit more like story-driven, very in-depth ones. Some of them are similar. He does have a few of the same on here as I do, but his number one is Gloomhaven, which it is known as like one of the best board games. It is very, very complicated in my opinion, and it is very long. It is a legacy game, so you can play it for hours upon hours with your friends. Bless you, Francis. And yeah, so I will have his top 10 linked down below. We're gonna get into mine. I'm gonna go all the way from 10 to my number 1, and I will have 2 honorable mentions at the end of ones that didn't quite make it for some different reasons, so I will explain those. And I also, before we get into this video, want to tell you guys that this video is sponsored by Skillshare. I have been working with them for almost a year now. So let's chat about Skillshare just before we head into my top 10. So if you're not familiar with Skillshare, it is an online learning community with thousands of different classes that you can take to learn something new or hone in on a skill that you already have. They have so many videos in different things like productivity, entrepreneurship, art, film and video, and even lifestyle videos that help you with self-care and self-reflection and everything like that. And they're adding a ton of new videos each and every day for your viewing. So the most recent video that I was watching was in that lifestyle category, and it was Mindful Growth and the Creative Journey, Find Your Spark and Map Your Future by Mimi Chow. And oh my goodness, I loved this one. She was so sweet and so informative. With that being said, if you want to try out Skillshare for yourself, you can click the link in my description box, and the first 1,000 of you to do so will get a 1-month free trial of the Skillshare Premium membership. Definitely go check it out if you haven't already. Thank you so much again to Skillshare for sponsoring, and let's get back into the video. So starting with my number 10, I will say that some of these board games are a little bit longer, a little bit more complicated. Other ones are a little bit more approachable for first-time board gamers. I will let you guys know which ones are more complicated, which ones are a little bit easier, just, you know, so you guys can decide what your level is and what you would be down to play. But my number 10 is a pretty complicated one. This one I absolutely love. This is Concordia. The only reason why it is so low on my list, it still made the top 10, but it is number 10 because this is a pretty long game. We like to play this game when we have a big group. I'm pretty sure it is, yeah, 2 to 5 people. So when we have a big group family coming over, we will play this if we have a long period of time. It is 2 to 5 players. It says it takes 90 minutes, but most of the time when we have all 5 players, probably takes us about 2 hours. And it is recommended for the ages 13 plus. This is such a fun game. It's hard to kind of explain, but basically you have a map and you're trying to take over different countries by purchasing them with cards and stuff like that. At the end, you're gonna have a handful of cards. This is a, what is it called? A deck building game. So you are building a deck of cards, and then at the end you're counting up all of your cards, and that's how you get your points and see who wins. So it is a lot of fun. Like I said, it does take a little bit longer, so that's why it is number 10. But yes, Concordia. Love it. Next up, we have this beautiful and adorable game right here. This is Everdell. It is a worker placement game, also a deck building game. You guys will notice that Francis and I do go for pretty similar mechanics. We really love dice drafting, we love deck building, we love worker placement type games. So basically here you have a bunch of little workers. You can choose what animal you want to play, and then you are putting your workers in different places to build resources, to then buy cards to put into your town. There's like a bunch of little like different animals and stuff. There's a like pigeon for the post office. It's just so stinking cute. Yeah, there's a postal pigeon, there's a fool, there's a bard, so cute, an inn, a tower, a minor mole. It's so stinking cute, and like the teacher is an owl, and it's just adorable. So definitely recommend this one. It is so much fun. The only reason why it is number 9 on my list is that I am not very good at it. Francis always seems to beat me, or someone else while we're playing always seems to beat me. I don't think I've won Everdell ever, maybe once or twice of all of the times that we played, but I think the design is absolutely amazing. I don't know if you guys can see on the back here, but there is a like tower tree. It is gorgeous, the art is gorgeous, and the theming is just so cute and so whimsical, and I absolutely love it. I will say that it is, where does it say? It says 1 to 4 players, so you can play the single player, which is fun. Ages 14 plus, and the duration is 40 to 80 minutes. I would say more realistically, if you have all 4 players, it probably takes about an hour and a half, I will say. Sometimes it takes even longer if players are taking a long time to choose what they're going to do, but very cute, definitely recommend it. It is a little bit difficult, but not as crazy as Concordia, for sure. Next up is my number 8. This one I got for Christmas, I think 2 Christmases ago, and I absolutely love this game. It is so much fun. I don't think Francis loves it as much as I do, so we don't get to play it too often, but when we do, I absolutely love it. That is Tiny Towns. It is my number 8. I love this one. We don't get to play it as much as I wish we could, but it is 1 to 6 players, 14 plus is the age recommendation, and it is 45 minutes. I would say we can typically get this one done in about an hour if you have all 4 players. But this is such a fun game. Basically, you all start with this little 4x4 tile here, and you're picking up these little cubes to make different shapes to then create buildings. So for example, this is a little like cottage here, and you want to pick up 2 stone and a glass and put them in that specific order so that you can then make that little cottage, if that makes sense. It'll end up looking kind of like this, and you just continue going. Everybody each picks a certain resource as you go around. Everyone has to pick up that resource, so sometimes it gets a bit tricky when, you know, one player is like, everyone pick up a brick, but you don't need brick, if that makes sense. It's very frustrating, but so much fun, and I just love putting down all the resources and then making different buildings. So that is Tiny Towns, absolutely love it. It, I would say, is probably a pretty good starter board game. It's not too complicated, it's pretty simple. So if you are like just starting to get into board games, this is definitely a great one to check out. Absolutely love it. Tiny Towns. Okay, so number 7, I am actually pretty surprised that I've added this to my list. This is Miyabi, and we have only played this maybe 4 or 5 times since we have got it, but it is so much fun. You're basically creating a little Japanese garden, and it is for ages 8 to 99, and it is 2 to 4 players, and it's 45 minutes, I believe. But this is such a fun game. It is placing different little Tetris-shaped tiles, kind of similar to Tiny Towns, where you have this, I think it's 6x6 grid, and you're placing these Tetris pieces with different like things on them. We have bushes, trees, ponds, pagodas. Oh, those are like little buildings, aren't they? Pagodas, and you're kind of putting them into different columns and rows. Columns and rows, there we go. And you are just trying to get as much points as possible to win the game, and it is just so much fun. It's a multi-layered garden growing game. I don't know if you guys can see on the back. It's a little bit complicated to explain, but it's pretty straightforward. I say that this one is another pretty simple game that you could probably get into if you're pretty new to board games, so definitely recommend this one. It is Miyabi, and it is my number 7. Number 6 is probably one of the most popular board games. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of it, but it is Wingspan. This was such a hard board game to get back. I don't know if it's still difficult to get. I think it might be, but it's actually very heavy. But this is a board game that actually got a lot of non-board game people into board games. It was a pretty revolutionary board game. It's about bird watching. You're collecting birds and putting them in your little environment. There's the water birds, the forest birds, and then the desert or plains birds, and it is just so much fun. You get these little eggs, you have resources that you collect. Again, it is a worker placement game, so you're placing a worker to then do an action. So you're trying to place your workers to figure out what kind of actions you want to do, whether you want to put a bird into your environment, if you want to lay eggs on your birds, if you want to get resources to buy more birds, if you want to get more cards, that sort of thing. It is such a fun game. The pieces and components are absolutely amazing. The art is amazing. You have so many different birds that you can put into your environment. It is just so much fun. Definitely recommend. It's a little bit complicated. I would say it's on the medium. The one that's been most complicated so far is Concordia, so this one's probably the closest to that, but still kind of in the medium area for experience wise. But yes, number 6 is Wingspan, and we absolutely love it. Okay, so we've made it halfway through. The next one is my number 5. This one is, wow, this is really heavy. This one is probably the most immersive and story-driven of all of them, so if you like that sort of thing, I definitely recommend this one. This is Above and Below. It is so much fun. You are a little tribe or a little group of people that are having to do a bunch of different things. It is, again, a worker placement game, so you are using some of your people to do actions, whether you want to, harvest, or you want to get some more people to come to your tribe. If you want to go explore, you can go explore the underground caves, you can build buildings. It is just such a fun game. It is so immersive, and it's just a good time. So I definitely recommend. It is probably around the same as Wingspan. It's a little bit complicated, not too bad, but it is so much fun. And if you love story, if you love being immersed in another world, this is definitely a good one for you to get. There's also a few other games in this trilogy, I guess. I don't know if it's a trilogy, but there's Above and Below. This is the first one. There's Near or Far. There's another one. And then there's Sleeping Gods, which is the most recent in this lineup of games. But all of the art is so cute. I love the art so much. You guys can see how adorable this is with the little huts. But yeah, we are definitely looking into getting a few more of these ones, just because they're so much fun. Probably Near or Far is the next one, or Sleeping Gods are ones that we want to look into getting. So yes, my number 5 is Above and Below. Next up is my number 4. This is the smallest and most compact of all of the board games that I'm showing you guys today. So if you're looking for small ones that can be brought with you to different places, super easy to travel with, this is your one to go for. But this is, I think, one of the only, not roll and write, but it is a card flip and write. But this is Welcome to, people call it Welcome to, but it's technically Welcome to Your Perfect Home. And you do need pencils for this. I don't think we have any in the box, but we have some down with our board games. But this one, I should probably just show you. It's probably easier to show you than to just talk about it and show the board. But basically, everyone gets a sheet of paper, if I can get it out. I love this game so much. This is probably one of the games that we got like first, but basically you get a big pad of these sheets here, which if you guys know me, you know that I love houses and like interior design and stuff like that. This has nothing to do with interior design, but it does have something to do with houses and streets, and you're basically taking these cards here and you're gonna have 3 different piles. Everyone can choose one of those 3 piles. Everyone can choose the same pile. It just doesn't matter. You just have to choose one of the 3 piles personally, and then you write it down on here. So the pile will consist of a house number and then one of these symbols down here, and you are putting the house number in the like streets. Your street has to be in chronological order, so from 1 to 15, I think, but there's not necessarily 15 houses in every row or every street, if that makes sense. So you're putting them in chronological order, leaving space for different numbers to possibly come up, and you are using these symbols to get points in different ways. It is just so much fun, like numbering the houses, making sure you leave enough room for certain numbers, and they do come with a bunch of different pads of paper. This is the original one, but I also have Doomsday and Easter egg hunt, I'm pretty sure. Those are like expansions. Basically, it's just another pad of paper that you can use, and I think you get additional like cards, but I'm talking way too long about this board game. You guys can tell that I love it. We don't get to play it too often. Francis' parents aren't the hugest fan of this one. I think Francis likes this game, but I don't know, we don't get to play it too often. It's a little bit hard to grasp at first, but I do think it's pretty easy. It's probably in between easy and medium, in my opinion, but definitely recommend Welcome To. It is talked about a lot in the board game world, so it is a pretty popular one, and most places do have it, so definitely recommend Welcome To. That is my number 4. So I talked about my number 4 for way too long. Clearly, you guys can tell I like it, but I'll try to get through the top 3 pretty quickly, but I really do love all 3 of these games so much. But my number 3 is Viticulture. This one is so much fun. It's basically a like winery themed game. So you are each like trying to make your own winery. You're producing wine, you're filling orders. It is just so much fun. Our friends Tom and Asha and us always get together, and we always have wine and charcuterie boards while we play this game. It is just so much fun. But I will say that this is probably the most complicated of all of the games. Concordia is pretty, I think I mentioned that Concordia is pretty difficult as well, but Concordia is definitely easier than this one. So if you are interested in this game, I would just say to prepare yourself for a pretty complicated game. But it is a worker placement game again, so you have workers that you're putting onto the board to do different things, such as doing a tour to get money, fulfilling orders, harvesting your winery, things like that. It is just the cutest game. I love it. I love the theming. I love the gameplay. The pieces are amazing. There's these like glass circles that you put over, and because they are see-through, it almost makes the glass pieces look like grapes themselves. It's very cool. But yeah, it's definitely the most complicated out of my top 10. So if you are interested, just be wary and be prepared to, the first time you play it, it being a little bit confusing. But definitely recommend it. It is such a fun game, and the theming is just out of this world. Moving on, the next one is my number 2. I am very surprised that this is number 2 because just like Miyabi, we haven't had this game for very long. We've maybe had it for 3 or 4 months. We've played it 4 or 5 times, but I love this game so much and I always want to play it. It is called The Search for Planet X, and the art is gorgeous, the box is absolutely stunning, but the gameplay is so unique to anything that we have. It is actually a deduction game, so you have this pad of paper and there's this circle board with a bunch of different, not quadrants, but I guess quadrants. There's 12 different spaces in the map, basically. And you're trying to figure out what single thing is in each quadrant to then figure out which quadrant Planet X is in. Hopefully I'm explaining this correctly. I was always a big fan of Sudoku and like deduction type of games, so this one is up my alley. It is pretty much Sudoku on crack. It is so much fun. The theming, I just love it. It is pretty difficult to explain in a few sentences, so I just will say that it is similar to Sudoku. You are trying to figure out which thing is in each quadrant, whether it's a dwarf planet, a meteor, a comet, different things like that, to figure out where Planet X is. So yes, that is my number 2, search for Planet X. It is such a fun game. And lastly, this is my number 1 game. We have talked about this game over and over again. It is a tried and true. We've had this board game for so long, and we almost play it every single time we get together with family or friends. It is just such a fun game. It never gets old, and we've played this game so many times, but we still are just gravitated towards it. We love it. It is a very popular game. I'm pretty sure you can get this at a lot of like pretty popular places that sell board games, but that is 7 Wonders, guys. This is such a fun game. This is probably one of our first board games, and I do not regret buying it because it is such a fun one. It has won so many awards, and for good reason. It is a deck building game, and you are just collecting cards. You all start with a hand, you pick one, and then give the rest of the cards to the person beside you. You get the one from the other person beside you. You continue doing that until you have all of your cards and all of the decks are empty, and then you collect points for all of the different types of cards that you collect. It is just such a fun game. Definitely recommend it. I will say that we do have a few expansions for 7 Wonders. We have 2 of them here, which the first one is Cities, which we haven't actually played with yet, so we definitely need to get on that. But the second expansion we have is the one that I want to recommend. This is the Leaders expansion for 7 Wonders. It is so good. Definitely recommend, if you were to get an expansion for 7 Wonders, definitely get Leaders. It makes the game so much fun. Like, you can play it just with the base game and it is still a good time, but add the Leaders and it is even better. I just love it. Again, we still need to play with Cities, but because Leaders is so good, we're never like tempted to add Cities or try to do it with Cities instead of Leaders. So yes, definitely recommend 7 Wonders, the Leaders expansion. Maybe Cities is good, we just haven't played it yet. So yes, that is my number 1, 7 Wonders. Tried and true, always love playing this game. Okay, so that was my top 10. I don't know if you guys can see this right now, but the pile of board games has become almost as tall as the dining table, which is crazy. I started on the ground and there are so many board games beside me, it's crazy. But like I told you guys, after my top 10, I do have 2 more board games that I just wanted to mention because they're both amazing games. They're just not in the top 10 for a few different reasons. So the first one is this board game right here. I'm sure you guys have heard of this. I'm sure you've seen it. This is Katan, or Katan, whatever you say. This is such a popular board game. Everyone loves this board game. It is so much fun. It's been around forever. We have just the basic Katan, and then we also have the expansion to make it 5 to 6 players, which is really handy for when we have big groups. There is a bunch of different Katans. We just have the basic one, but I've always considered trying out the other ones. There's like Sea and Farers or something like that. There's Knights. There's a few different ones. There's also like a Star Wars one, I think. I don't know. But there are so many different Katans, and I'm sure you guys have heard of it. I didn't want to put it in my top 10. It's up there for sure, but we've played it so many times. It's there. But I just know that everyone already knows about it, and it's a given. Katan is a good board game. And then lastly, for my honorable mentions, I have this beautiful little board game right here. This is Santa Monica. We just recently got this one as well, and we just played it for the first time like last week. So we've only played it like two times, I think, 2 or 3 times. and I didn't feel right putting it into the top 10 if I haven't played it too many times, but I did want to mention it because it is such a fun game. Oh my goodness. It is a like deck building game again, but you're picking cards from the middle to make your own Santa Monica Pier, and then you have these little like tourists, and you have locals, and you have a VIP, and you're just moving them around and putting them in different spots to then collect points at the end of the game. It is just the cutest game. It also has the most adorable art. One of the main reasons why I picked this up in the first place. The art is so cute. There's like different buildings that you can put on your pier. There's different, like, there's a beach like wedding card. It's just so stinking cute. So definitely recommend this one, but it's not quite in my top 10 yet because obviously we've only played it a few times, but I still wanted to mention it because it's very cute. Definitely pretty easy to get into, so if you're a starter player, I recommend this one. I think I didn't mention, but Seven Wonders is pretty complicated. There's just a lot of different cards that do different things, so you just have to get a hang of what cards do what. Katan is pretty easy. You're just collecting resources and, you know, building things. Pretty straightforward. Search for Planet X is a little bit complicated. Yeah, I think that's it. And now my board game stack is almost as tall as I am. So anyways, that is going to be everything for my top 10 favorite board games. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this. Let me know down in the comments if you guys want me to talk about more board games. If you want me to be more specific, maybe you want to know what my top 10 just like 2-player games are, what my top 10 like family games are, top 10 roll and write games. Just let me know what you guys want to see in the future with board game content. I just love board games so much. It's such a good way to like bring friends and family together, have fun around the table, everyone put their phones away and just have a good time. I just love it so much. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this. Definitely check out all these board games. Like I said, I will have Francis' top 10 below if you want to figure out what his are. They're a little bit more complicated. Some of them are the same in like a different order, but a few of the ones that he has in there are a little bit crazy, a little bit complicated, but they're very fun in all. So anyways, I love you guys so much. A huge thank you to Skillshare for sponsoring again, and I will see you guys in my next video. Remember, you are somebody's reason to smile. Bye guys!